My beloved, you have returned here, seeking words you're not sure you still deserve to hear. Somewhere deep within, you recognize the ache of disappointment. The disappointment you have in yourself, the heaviness carried day after day, the subtle voice that says you missed your moment, or proved yourself unworthy of hopes once vibrant within your heart. You try to explain this quiet ache to yourself, to others, to me, but words fail. You wonder how you lost confidence so gradually that you only realized it when you could barely remember what faith in your own life even felt like. You have always sensed that your story meant more, that underneath the confusion and exhaustion, a promise remained. Yet, for reasons you can't put into sentences, you have begun to believe it simply isn't true for you anymore. You have seen others restored, others reawakened, yet you stand in the shadows, quietly convinced your chapter closed without warning. That your name slipped quietly from my lips into a silence you can't interpret. But even as these thoughts nest in your soul, I am here. I have been watching every word you haven't spoken. I see not just the choices you regret, but the sheer courage required just to continue waking up, to try again, to put one foot in front of the other. There is a deeper truth beneath the exhaustion, an ancient certainty beneath the noise of your self-doubt. You belong to me, not because you have succeeded, but because you were designed by my hands and my heart, for a reason beyond your rising and falling. Where you see a series of unfinished stories and fractured promises, I see the ground of transformation, the place where the world tries to define you by failure, but where I claim you all the more fully as my beloved. This is not a generic comfort or a vague promise. I am not a distant observer. I speak to you right now because you are seen. You fear you are lost to possibility, but you have never been lost to me. Not for a single moment. Not even in the shadowiest places you have walked. Something new is unfolding, not as you expect, not on the schedule you sought, but something no less true because of its quietness. Be still a moment and listen. The story you stopped believing in, the one you closed in your heart's darkest nights, remains in my memory, vivid and unfinished. The love you assumed was reserved for others singles you out, still, at this very breath. All that you thought was forfeited, all that you have been told was irretrievably gone, I gather in my hands. You wonder where hope comes from after failing not just me or the world, but your own vision of yourself. Yet there is a mystery here, one that gently resists every answer your striving mind demands. Your worth never depended on your ability to keep believing in yourself. When your faith in you collapsed, mine did not. I have held a hope for you that you cannot destroy, even with your most permanent seeming mistakes. You wonder if I see the gaps in your courage or the cracks in your conviction. Know that I do, and they have never changed the way I call your name. My memory of you is truer than your memory of me. My hand does not tremble when you withdraw. My plans are not threatened when you shut the door on every dream. The stakes are not simply your happiness. I'm preserving something irreplaceable, a light that only you can bring to my world through my calling upon you. You have heard encouragement before, but this is more than encouragement. This is the voice that called you into being, naming your beauty before you ever doubted it, holding the line of hope when you surrendered it. I'm not limited by the story you tell yourself. My love is not measured by your ability to hold yourself together. Even now, on the other side of your disappointment, I'm near. I'm not waiting until you are strong to claim you. I speak here into your confusion, because this is when my truth can set root and change everything you believe about your value. Let the sound of my voice settle for a moment within you. There is more I have to reveal, and my gaze is fixed upon you. Will you stay long enough to let what I see in you begin to stir awake again? If the weight in your chest is familiar, it is because you have carried it silently through many quiet nights and restless dawns. I know the ache that creeps in when you are alone, the questions that do not find answers, the prayers that seem to dissolve into nothingness. My beloved, you have wondered if I truly see you when shadows fall heavy and silence deepens around you. You have doubted whether your tears hold any meaning to me, whether your struggles and delays are woven into something greater, or simply forgotten in the endless march of days. Sometimes it seems as if you are whispering into a vast emptiness, hoping for a sign that I am closer than your own breath. There are moments you remember, those secret, hidden places in your memory where hope first flickered, where you reached for me in childlike trust and sensed my nearness. But as the years tiptoe forward, burdens gather. Your heart has known disappointment, dreams deferred, and doors closed before you understood why. You have learned to brace yourself for silence, to lock away your longing, to shield your heart even from the possibility of my presence. Yet, beneath all your layers of caution, there remains a soft place within you that aches for comfort, for the gentle certainty that you have not been overlooked. I am present in the aches you dare not voice, in the longings you ignore, in the fatigue that settles over your spirit. Understand this. Your hidden struggle is not a foreign language to me. Every sigh, every sleepless hour, every trembling hope has reached my heart. When doubt grows sharp and loneliness presses in, I am still the God who lingers beside you, undeterred by your silence, unafraid of your questions. I remain the one who knows the full story of your sorrow, a story you may have tried to forget, but I have never turned away from. Let the heavy places be seen, child. The weight you carry is not evidence of failure, nor a sign that you are unseen. It is the evidence that you are alive, longing, reaching for the more your spirit was designed to know. The ache is not your enemy. The confusion does not disqualify you from my affection or companionship. If your hope feels tattered, if your faith is thinned down to the barest thread, I tenderly count even that as precious. You do not disappoint me with your trembling or your delays. There is no part of you that I have not witnessed, no chapter of your story that I have not read and remembered. I have walked the halls of your memory, seen the tears behind closed doors, heard the questions you do not dare speak aloud. Your pain is not wasted, nor is it invisible. It is a language I understand better than you realize, the language of longing, of confusion, of honest need. When your soul aches, know that I draw nearer, never further away. Allow this comfort to reach you, even if only a little. You do not have to be strong for me to remain with you. You do not have to solve the mystery, conquer your fear, or eliminate your doubt to stay worthy of my love. My presence was never promised only for the certain, the strong, or the untroubled. My nearness is for the fragile, the weary, the ones whose faith trembles in the dark and yet still reach out for me. I honor your perseverance more than you know. If today your questions feel too raw, your fears too large, or your hope too faint, rest in this. My heart has not moved away from you. It is my joy, not reluctance, to comfort you through the long watches of the night and the silent hours of the day. I am still here, hearing the words you cannot speak, holding the fragments you cannot carry. You are not alone in the struggle, not abandoned in the discomfort of waiting. Even when you can't trace my hand, you can trust my heart is bent toward you. I am the one who holds vigil with you in every silence. If your soul aches for real comfort, let yourself pause and notice that I am closer than you thought. Let yourself soften, even if only a little, and lean into the hope that I have always chosen to remain by your side. There are memories beneath the surface of your daily life, moments you glance away from, stories you have set aside because they ache in places you cannot explain. I have seen the shadows linger behind your brave words, the silence that settles over you in quiet rooms where no one enters, and the years you have spent believing that certain parts of your journey were better left untouched. Yet, my dear child, nothing in your story is hidden from me. There, behind every remembrance you cannot voice and every cry that fluttered out into emptiness, I was present. I gathered your scattered hopes each time you believed you were forgotten. I remember the moment when trust seemed to unravel, the day you looked for a sign in the ordinary and found only more waiting, the pain that made you draw inward, the failure that left you feeling less than whole, the prayer that went unanswered. Those are the chapters I have held most tenderly. Even now, I see you searching for meaning in the fragments. You return, in quiet moments, to places where it seemed nothing grew and try to make sense of the seasons when warmth was withheld. You remember the lines on the faces of those you loved, the tremble in your own hands as you hoped for morning. If you let me, I will unearth these memories with gentle hands, not to cause shame or deepen wounds, but to show you the gold I have hidden in places long buried. You have not traveled alone through dry valleys or lingered without purpose in waiting rooms of the soul. I have been present in all of it, collecting each sigh, marking each sleepless night, remembering the childhood dreams and grown-up disappointments. There is not a moment or memory disqualified from redemption. Consider for a moment the years you have labeled as wasted, the relationships you mourned when they slipped away, the words you never dared to utter in prayer. These are not lost pages. They are part of my weaving. The understructure that cannot be seen yet holds your story together. When you revisit your pain, you wonder if it was meaningless after all. But nothing born of struggle, nothing pressed in silence, is wasted in my design. I hold your shattered seasons with honor, not disdain. I see the lessons that grew in darkness and the strength you found only when you felt weakest of all. Each memory, even the ones you wish to forget, is precious to me. When the world measured your value by achievement and outward peace, I saw what you wrestled with in secret, the heartbreak that sent you to your knees, the doubts that hid behind your brave face. My dear, I want you to know that every hidden moment is worth bringing into my light. Shame tells you that your story is too broken. I whisper that it is beloved and far from over. In the silence where you once felt abandoned, I was waiting for you to notice me. Your anguish, though invisible to many, is not invisible to me. There are treasures stored in the wilderness, places you mourn, the words never spoken, the apologies never received, the invitations you prayed for that never came. These have become invitations from me, asking you to see yourself as I have always seen you. Your scars are not evidence of neglect, but of endurance. I was there when you did not know how to stand, and I steadied you for the next step. Even now, as you feel the urge to turn away from hard memories, I invite you to let me carry them with you. They are seeds of a greater harvest, and nothing about your past is a wasteland in my sight. Do not fear the memories that rise in the quiet. I'm not ashamed of what grieves you. I do not flinch from tears or recoil from regret. I draw near to every place that aches, for I am not a distant observer, but the one who has walked each step by your side. Let me show you how your story carries weight, how every moment, especially the ones you wish you could erase, are claimed and healed by my love. If the memories stir something within you, let them come. Allow them to breathe in my presence, for I am not finished writing beauty out of sorrow. Open your heart and trust that I have cherished even the chapters you most wish to forget. You are weary sometimes, even as you try to remember the promises I have woven through your days. I sense how you strain to hold on to faith when disappointment presses against your bones, when the world's noise drowns out my quiet assurances. You wonder, perhaps secretly, if I grow weary with you, if my patience has a boundary that your questions and worries might overstep. Let me clear away that shadow, my beloved. My endurance does not waver, nor is my love thinned by the current of your fears. I am not made small or impatient by the tides of your doubt. Every day you have questioned me. I have seen it, and stayed. Every moment you felt unworthy, I remained near, never recoiling, never hesitating. My nearness is not earned by certainty, nor lost by anxiety. You cannot disqualify yourself from my keeping. When your hope trembles, you imagine that your value in my eyes must also tremble. Let me gently confront this silent assumption. You are not held because of the strength of your faith, but by the strength of my commitment. Your questions do not disturb me, they mark you as alive, wrestling for understanding, refusing mere surface acceptance of the mysteries I allow. Do you recall times when a child in your life asked the same question 100 different ways, searching for reassurance, desperate to be certain that your answer would not change? Did you turn away from them, or did you draw them closer, knowing their persistence meant they trusted you with their uncertainty? I hold all your whys and hows with greater tenderness than you have ever experienced. There is no threshold you can cross that will set my love out of reach. I know there is a part within you that believes you must keep trying, keep achieving, keep proving something, perhaps to me, perhaps to yourself, perhaps to those old voices from childhood that whispered you must earn what you receive. This pattern has tangled itself around your soul, shaping the way you approach me. You brace yourself for rejection. You expect to be disappointed, and so you begin to ask me for less than your heart truly longs for. My dear child, hear me. I've never asked you to shrink your dreams or to swallow your needs to be loved. I am not discouraged by the magnitude of your longing. I shaped every ache and desire for belonging inside you. There is a remedy for this fear, but it is not found in trying harder or pretending that disappointment does not hurt you. The healing I offer is rooted in truth. I am the giver, and my giving is not transactional. I do not love with conditions attached. In my kingdom, you never have to barter for my affection, never have to curate your prayers to hide what you think might offend me. All your mess, all your beauty, all your bewilderment, it's welcome before me. You can rest your head on my chest and breathe out every unfiltered ache. Even if your voice falters, know that I hear the unspoken groan within you, the language of your spirit. What if you allowed yourself to believe, for just this moment, that I am not keeping score, that I see behind the questions to the ache, behind the ache to the beautiful hope that you still dare to carry? You speak to me sometimes as though I'm a distant ruler, unmoved by the trembling of your heart. But I am the whisper at midnight, the hand resting on your back when grief wants to swallow joy. I am the one who sees every moment you are tempted to believe your worth rises or falls based on your bravado. There is more than affirmation waiting here for you. There is unshakable belonging, woven into the foundation of your existence. Your story is not measured in victories. My love does not shrink when you feel small. Every attempt, every secret plea, every battered hope matters to me. I'm not waiting for you to fix yourself up before I draw near. I want you in your unfinishedness, your questions, your rawness. I want you with your defenses lowered and your arms empty of burdens you were never meant to bear. You do not have to hustle for my affection or compete for space in my heart. There is no one else who could take your place. I am inviting you to let this truth loosen the knots inside you. Will you release the belief that you must be flawless to be cherished? Sometimes the burden you carry is shaped not by the noise of the world, but by the echo of your own questions that rise in the quiet when no one else can hear. My dear child, you have learned to build fortresses of reasoning around your uncertainties, a silent architecture standing watch, layer upon layer, demanding answers before it dares to hope again. There within your walls you've stored all the words you wish had been spoken to you, assurances when your faith trembled, gentle reminders when love felt scarce, a reassuring hand to guide you when you wandered in shadows. Yet even as you search for certainty, a deeper fear persists. The worry that I am silent because I am displeased, absent because your heart has wandered too far, slow to answer because you are somehow unworthy of my attention. Let me gently but firmly challenge this belief now. My presence is not a commodity you must earn or a prize for flawless trust. My nearness is not a reflection of your performance, but a living expression of my character. Child, I am not withholding myself as a lesson or a punishment. Understand that my purposes stretch farther than your understanding. My loving kindness wraps around you even when your feelings are chilled by unanswered prayers. If I seem quiet, it is not because you misstepped. My eyes have never shifted from you. I am closer in the silence than even your own thoughts, weaving gold into the hours that feel barren or unseen. Every heartbreak and every longing that twists deep inside you has a place in my hands. The story I'm writing in you is not single-threaded by absence, nor marred by your doubts. I'm not surprised by your questions or discouraged by your trembling faith. You fear the hollow spaces where assurance should be, yet those very places are where I do my quietest, most exquisite work. When you are brave enough to bring me your questions, rather than recite your answers, you create space for healing and transformation to flow. Surrender then. You don't need to control the pace or the outcome. Let your uncertainty be a lamp that draws you to my heart, not a wall dividing us. If you have felt defective because trust does not come easily, know this: you are not faulty clay. I am the hands that mold patiently, shaping a vessel that holds beauty and purpose in every unexpected curve. Your value is not weighed by how soon you believe or how smoothly you navigate the unknown. Your value is inscribed in the very being I spoke into existence. Before you found words to describe your struggle, you were already precious to me. Allow your fears to lose their tyranny over you. Give me the fortress of your logic, and I will show you the endless horizon beyond your walls. Even here, especially here, I am inviting you to discover that my faithfulness is not fragile, and my love endures what your mind cannot unravel. I will not let you slip away, and your worn hope is enough to keep you close. If you are willing, loosen your grip on certainty and let my kindness be the answer you rest upon tonight. There are moments, my beloved, when the horizon ahead feels smudged and your heart is gripped by uncertainty. You look, squinting into the future, but all you see are shifting mists, possibilities you cannot hold, paths you cannot chart. I have seen you stare into the invisible distance and wonder if your journey is just a meandering through fog, always searching for substance, for some certain sign that you will not lose yourself in the unknown. It is not the absence of direction that troubles you most, but the ache that seethes in the silent spaces, whispering that perhaps you are simply wandering alone. Yet this very season, when the road bends and disappears from view, has always been my invitation for you to anchor yourself, not in prognosis or forecast, but in unwavering presence. The future I have shaped for you is never empty, nor left to the winds of random event. Nothing that unfolds in your days is adrift without purpose. Sometimes, though, I hide the details to keep your focus on the nearness of my being. I know how swiftly the heart races ahead, constructing scenarios, fortresses of worry or fragile castles of hope. You scan the horizon for answers, but what you crave is not merely clarity, it is assurance that you're not abandoned in the advance, that every unseen tomorrow still rests firmly within my keeping. Even when uncertainty coils around you, hear me whisper, the unknown is not your enemy. It is a place I dwell, a hallway where I hold your hand, guiding, calming, preparing. Consider the way a gardener readies the ground before anything breaks through the soil. Beneath, the seeds lie still, darkness above, nothing visible to assure the sower that anything good will come. Yet within the hush of soil, roots awaken. Life begins to stir, long before it is named by sight. So it is with your life. I labor in the unseen, planting within you strength for what your eyes cannot yet see. Every day of waiting, of not knowing, is a deepening of the earth surrounding you, richening the soil so that when fruit comes, you will recognize whose hands have tended you in secret. Nothing you anticipate or fear can outpace my steady working in the mystery. Don't let the hush before fulfillment make you forget. I'm as present in the waiting as in the arrival. Not a moment slips by where I'm absent from your side. Not a single breath escapes my notice. To you, the silent hours may feel barren, and you might listen in vain for unfolding footsteps. But to me, those are the sacred spaces where anticipation ripens trust, where faith is purified, where hope takes root beneath the surface, resisting the urge to uproot itself too soon. I do not leave you to stew in powerlessness. I wrap you in my confidence, longing for you to perceive the ways I am building within you a vision that does not depend on sight or circumstance. Those very things you call unknown are known to me, intimately, intricately, entirely. My dear child, do not fear the silence or the clouds masking what is to come. Instead, dare to settle into the steadiness of my heart for you, the one thing that never shifts with time or changes with seasons. Your future and your present, both, rest in these hands. If others abandon, if voices fade or promises fail, I will remain, unyielding in love and unwavering in commitment. My arms are wide enough for all your fears about tomorrow, my voice still strong enough to call joy out of despair. When you face the place where you cannot plan or predict, you encounter not emptiness, but the fullness of my company. Trust is not built in moments where everything is clear. It is forged in the space where uncertainty brushes against your soul, and you choose, that day, to believe that I am enough. Enough to carry you, enough to complete what I began, enough to make the unseen a blessing and not a threat. Even if every path ahead remains hazy, I am not hiding from you. I am inviting you to discover my nearness in a way you would never have recognized if all had remained visible and straight. Your steps are not stumbling in darkness, but moving through the shadow of my wings. Gently turn your attention from the distant mist to my presence beside you. Let the uncertainty that has haunted you become a chamber of holy expectation. Allow the fear that nothing is certain to give way to the assurance that I am, and will always be, your certainty. Settle here in my care for a moment. Let your soul breathe deeply. You do not have to see what comes next to be gathered, guided, and kept. Rest now in the center of my peace, and carry this quiet confidence forward. Let your spirit lean into the truth that I inhabit your unknowns, and you are forever enfolded in my faithfulness. There is a moment, beloved, when you grow weary even of the still, hopeful waiting. It is the pause when your deepest questions walk quietly alongside you. and faith begins to feel like a jar of oil nearly spent, flickering, uncertain how much further the flame can stretch. You ask in the silent reaches of your heart, will strength ever rise again within me? Is hope a memory only, something that belonged to a younger, braver version of who you once were? Here, in this pause where exhaustion and longing are entwined, I find you. Even when you cannot put words to the ache, I am not a silent observer at the outskirts of your struggle. I am here, anchoring you, whether or not you sense it. You drift some days, as though the currents of disappointment might carry you away from yourself. Yet even as you drift, you are never outside my reach. There is no exile so deep, no shadow so complete, that my spirit cannot fill it with the quiet weight of my presence. When you press your forehead to your hands, trying to recall the last time joy felt unbroken, I'm sitting in the invisible space between your grief and your longing. My compassion does not run thin. It does not grow indifferent as your hope falters, or your prayers repeat the same old songs of yearning. Like an anchor driven into the ocean bed, my faithfulness secures you when your own resolve grows faint. I hold you, neither impatient nor disappointed. Your story is not defined by these hollow stretches, nor are my plans undone by the desert's silence. Beneath every surface fatigue, beneath every sigh you release in secret, I am the bedrock holding you upright. Sometimes you imagine, when the heaviness lingers, that I am asking you to stride forward alone. That silence equals absence. That delay is indifference. You stare at closed doors and wonder if I am waiting for you to prove your worth, or muster some heroic surge of will. Let me dismantle this quiet lie. I do not measure you by the speed of your progress, or by the brightness of your hope. I measure you by the gaze of love that never wavers. The anchor of my presence is not forged from your optimism or the perfect rehearsal of trust. I hold you because I have chosen to, freely, unwaveringly, forever. When you cannot hold on, when you falter or feel numb, lean into this. My choosing you was never dependent on your strength. Though the world marks time by what you accomplish, you are not a mere sum of your seasons of action or waiting. My clock is different. The deep anchoring I provide is happening right now, even as you question, even as you hesitate and wish for escape. I am not waiting at the finish line. I am walking beside you through each tedious, unnoticed step. Whether you feel surrounded by fog or overwhelmed by the endlessness of the day, my presence secures your next breath. You do not have to pretend with me, beloved. Weariness is not a measure of your faith. I see it as an honest offering, the truest sign that you are bringing your whole heart, laments and all, to me. When everything around you demands certainty and outward assurance, I invite you to rest in my sufficiency. Let your ache be seen here and now, not as a failure, but as a sacred place in which I am working quietly, steadily, underneath what eyes can perceive. Sometimes your greatest strength is not in striving, but in surrender, allowing yourself to be held, despite questions, despite regret, despite ache. The anchor I offer is not temporary or conditional. Rest in knowing you cannot drift so far that my presence does not reach you. Let the bedrock of my love carry what you cannot, for as long as you need. Nothing in your storm has loosened my hold on you. In this hour I ask only one thing. Release the old story that tells you you must anchor yourself. Accept the depth of my presence in the quiet, in the waiting, in the restless longing. Let your hope rest, soft, unforced against the truth that you are never unmoored from me. Allow my nearness to steady you now, and feel the assurance of my embrace, even in the thickest silence, anchoring your soul for as long as it takes. When you draw breath in this moment, remember how the air feels upon your skin, the subtle chill, the deep inhalation moving through your chest, the steady assurance that life is not something far off, but ever present within you. There have been many seasons, my child, when you felt untethered to the ground beneath your feet. In such moments, you wondered if all stability was illusion, and if, perhaps, my presence could slip away as easily as certainty can vanish during a stormy night. I see how you sometimes search the horizon of your soul, seeking a signpost or a promise that what you hope for will not be lost to the shifting winds. In these fragile pauses, I do not simply watch from afar. I'm the unyielding ground beneath every trembling step. Let me anchor you. Think of roots deep within the earth, strong and spreading in silence. You may not see the invisible structure supporting the tallest oak or the mightiest cedar, but without those roots, even the strongest would topple. You were never meant to carry yourself by sheer will. You were always meant to be steadied by me, held fast when the world above changes, when friends slip away, when hope seemed to collapse under the weight of delay. In the unseen depths, I have placed my own strength to support you, my dear child. The foundation of your life does not depend on your flawless choices or your ability to predict what tomorrow brings. You are anchored to something deeper, older, and infinitely more certain. My unwavering commitment to you. Sometimes you ask how you can stand at all, when all you've built has seemed so fragile, so easily swept away. I answer you now. Just as the mountain stands through centuries of weather, just as the river carves its path, despite every obstacle, so my presence supports your every breath. The pattern I am weaving is not threatened by what falls away on the surface. I hold together what is essential, what is truly yours, your identity, your value, your story in my heart. When you are weary, when you feel the strain of enduring losses or disappointments, let yourself rest upon this foundation. There is space for your aching questions, your invisible fears. I do not demand you to push them down or to feign resilience. I am with you here, in the trembling, and my stability becomes yours the moment you acknowledge your need. If you would only let yourself fall, not into despair, but into my sustaining embrace, you would feel the difference between sinking and being gently held. Those who have dug deeply within their own pain know that to be anchored doesn't mean to avoid the storm, but to stand unmoved by it. How many times have you wondered if you would survive the season's fiercest winds? How many nights did you lie awake measuring your own grip and fearing it was not enough? Beloved, it was never your grip that secured you. It has always been mine. The ground you walk on each day, the quiet strength under words unspoken, that is my anchor, drawing you back whenever you wander, holding you steady in disappointment, granting you stability no matter what the world shakes loose. Let yourself stay here for a moment longer, recognizing that the reliability you crave is not performance, but presence, my presence. While others build assurances that crumble in crisis, I offer permanence. I am not absent when thunder rolls, or when silence weighs heavily upon your chest. I am not diminished by your doubts, or wearied by your uncertainty. As surely as the sun continues to rise, no matter how long the night may last, I continue to sustain, protect, and center you. Regardless of your struggles, my foundation is under your feet, whether you run, stumble, or simply sit with your questions. I give you permission to rest on what is true beneath everything else. You are not alone, you are not abandoned, and nothing that matters most will ever be shaken from you. Sit with this reality. Resist the urge to measure your life by what you can see above ground. Find comfort in the profound, unseen support I provide. Should you feel weak or incomplete, know that every structure requires a foundation it cannot see. I have chosen to be yours. Allow the reality of my unwavering presence to fill you with the deep peace you desire. When doubts arise, Sink them into the certainty that you are anchored in me. When anxiety gnaws or the future feels dark, remember that my strength, not your own, is what keeps you from sinking. Stay here in this truth a moment longer, letting it become your quiet assurance. Every heart has a season when the ground feels cold and the branches seem stripped bare. In these moments, progress can feel stalled, and the weight of waiting settles upon the soul like a late frost. There is a loneliness in such places that seeps quietly into your spirit, persuading you to measure your worth or my love by what you do not yet see. But I am not absent in this winter of your soul. I am here in the silence, near in the unseen, sustaining you in ways that roots are nourished below the frozen surface. The pauses you interpret as abandonment are, in truth, spaces where I am closest, holding you steady, ensuring the foundation is strong enough to bear what is to come. It is easy to forget that not every sign of life appears above the soil. Some of my most holy work is hidden deep, protected from prying eyes. Let me remind you that the pattern of your life is not one of continuous bloom without rest. Growth sometimes looks like stillness. The resting fields gather strength for the harvest to come. You're not a withered branch, but a chosen vine, undergoing my careful tending. In every unseen moment, I have measured and provided exactly what is needed. Not an ounce too little, not a moment too soon. My wisdom does not waste a single waiting day, my dear child, for I alone can see what blooms are forming underground. Rest in the design that trusts dormancy has purpose, and silence has a voice. Consider how even the mightiest trees must shed their leaves before being adorned again in splendor. So it is with your spirit. The shedding of certainties, the letting go of what once sustained, the loosening of old dreams. These are not punishments, but preparations. I am shaping you for endurance, expanding your capacity for joy and sanctifying your hope. I do not forget you in the long night. In fact, my hand is closer than ever, holding you through each hour, whispering courage with every breath you take, even when you do not recognize my presence by feeling. You are not made to measure time as the world does, with clocks and calendars and impatient sighs. I measure the depth of transformation, the integrity of faith refined in stillness. No delay can snatch you from my purpose. No winter night can silence the quiet declaration I make over you. Chosen, loved, held, forever mine. Let me untangle you from the questions that haunt the cold hours. Have I missed it? Am I forgotten? Will my season ever come? In my arms, waiting is not wasted. It is holy preparation for the unfolding to come. Detach your soul from the anxiety of outcomes and rest in the security of my presence. Allow silence to become sacred space between us, free from fear. Listen for the gentle assurance woven beneath each day. You're not alone, and you're never overlooked. Do not measure your spiritual worth by outward signs alone. Measure it by the unbroken promise that I am with you in every season. Will you trust that the roots are reaching deeper, even now? I have watched over you with a patience deeper than time, seeing every tremor of longing within you, every weary sigh, every fragile hope tucked away and left for another day. From the first moment you drew breath, I've counted each one, even those drawn with heaviness, even those you thought no one noticed. My love has been the silent foundation beneath your uncertain steps, not withholding myself in your wandering, not withdrawing in your doubting, but quietly setting within you a resilience shaped by my own hands. You have journeyed at times through a wilderness so stark it felt endless, yet I have been the quiet water at your root, the breath that upholds you through every unseen struggle, the gentle warmth that stirs you to rise each morning, always close, never far, always seeking to draw you back to me. where all striving finds its answer in my embrace. My dear child, you are not the sum of your delays, not defined by what you have misunderstood, not condemned by seasons of silence. Where you have feared my absence, I have been quietly working, resetting your foundation, strengthening what was fading, rather than merely patching what was breaking. There has not been a single moment where your value, your belonging, your purpose was in question. You were chosen before you even knew how to hope for me. You were loved before you ever wrestled with loss. Every burden pressed into your hands I have counted, and each tear I have collected like seeds. Nothing wasted, nothing judged, but all interwoven with my own longing to see you made whole. Release your illusion of being too late, as if the door to my heart could ever close against you. I stand firmly, steadily, at the threshold, not waiting in frustration or disappointment, but with rejoicing at every small turning back, each hesitation that still ends with your gaze seeking mine. I see the world's demands weighing on your shoulders, the doubts that echo in the privacy of your mind, and I speak restoration, not as an idea, but as the very breath you are drawing now. There is nothing broken within you that is beyond my mending, no fracture that cannot be made stronger in my hands, no distance that my voice cannot close in a heartbeat. Your story is precious to me precisely because it is unfinished. That ache for meaning, that hunger to know you matter, is my invitation echoing within you. Let me be your courage when you cannot find your own. Let me wrap my presence around everything you still cannot explain, and teach you, each day, each trembling trust, that you are not alone in any shadowed place. You belong to me, not as a possession, but as the one for whom I gave everything. The one I invite, again and again, to rise and walk forward without shame. I see what you still hope you might become, and I rejoice, because I am already there, holding the fullness of your promise. Let every voice that has whispered unbelonging now fall silent beneath the truth I speak. You are my beloved, marked by my knowing, secured by my delight. Your failures do not erase you from my memory. Your wounds don't scare me away. Rather, they have drawn me closer, compelled me to make you mine, even before you asked. The patterns of your past do not dictate the trajectory of your future in my design, for I'm always weaving renewal, always pouring out new beginnings, always speaking life when you expect only an ending. The peace you have sought in 1,000 places is here, waiting in the center of my presence. Will you let your walls rest, and let me remind you who you truly are? I have never lost hope for you, never set you aside, never measured your worth by actions done or left undone. I long to quiet your striving with a love that cannot be earned and will not be withdrawn. Each promise I whisper is not faint. They are certainty itself, built into the structure of your days. Receive them as your own. Take a breath now, my child, and allow yourself to enter the quiet where my heart beats for you alone. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. I am restoring you moment by moment, with a care that outlasts every storm, with a tenderness that gathers each broken piece until you behold yourself as I do, whole, radiant, irreplaceable. Rest in this. You are home in me, restored by my love, yesterday, today, and always. Amen. If this message awakened something within you, do not keep it to yourself. Let it reach another heart waiting for the same reminder.